As we approach the release for Deadpool and Wolverine, we continue to get more and more updates and information about this movie and what went into making it that really are putting fans over the top as far as excitement is concerned. It's been said from the very beginning that Deadpool is the MCU Jesus, and this continues to be proven correct from what insiders are telling us about the film. Now, some of these possibilities are still just rumors, and many of these possibilities were thoughts that didn't necessarily come together. But today, from insiders, we have a really cool discussion about Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man's spoken inclusion in Deadpool and Wolverine. And there are a lot of reasons why this is extremely exciting, and a lot of different pieces throughout the speculatory universe of the MCU that we can put together to really get a full picture of how Deadpool and Wolverine is going to be the lighter fluid that will kickstart the multiverse excitement in the MCU. So we're going to dive into that report and talk a lot about Deadpool and Wolverine and Secret Wars and the knot that's tying it all together in today's video. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't. We are on our way to 1 million subscribers. We've put lots and lots and lots of work into this channel over the years, and we would really appreciate it if you liked the video and subscribed. Now, jumping right into the report, we have a bit of a back and forth between a lot of different insiders discussing Robert Downey Jr. And it comes to Daniel RPK, who specifically talks about how those who wrote Deadpool and Wolverine, wanted RDJ to make a cameo in Deadpool and Wolverine, particularly in post-credit scenes, but it didn't work out. He goes on to state it was supposed to serve as both a build-up for Secret Wars and as a payoff to another scene that is still in the film, which I won't spoil. So this whole sentence on its own has a lot for us to unpack. First off, Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man showing up in Deadpool and Wolverine, 99.99999%, it would be a variant, but that's some very exciting news. But we also need to expand on what his involvement, why would they want him in Deadpool and Wolverine, and what is this other secret scene that's still in the film that can't be ruined? Let's start by talking about Robert Downey Jr. Up until very recently, he kind of doubled down and stated that he had fulfilled his role as Iron Man. He wanted to move on to different acting opportunities, and we've seen him pop up in a few different movies here and there, but he had completed his story, and I think we can all agree in a very, very heroic way through the Infinity Saga. His ultimate sacrifice, which allowed Endgame to come to some closure, was the perfect finish. But we are fans, and we know that the multiverse saga means we can get variants of Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man specifically and not mess the Infinity War storyline. His ultimate sacrifice doesn't need to be undone in order for us to have a few moments of glorious Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man time on the screen because of variants. And we have seen this repeatedly now through the MCU, Loki, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange. We've seen characters pop up both as the same actors we're familiar with and as actors who we have never seen them as before, which opens up a world of amazing possibilities. And as we're talking about Avengers 5 and we're talking about Secret Wars, you all know better than most, there are so many amazing opportunities that Marvel's actually going to have a hard time grabbing them all. But with Robert Downey Jr., we're talking about a very specific opportunity to bring back, in my opinion, the king of Marvel, the king of the MCU, the top of the very pyramid of exciting characters, an absolute fan favorite, and his actor in the form of a variant. And we were told that this probably wasn't going to happen. Robert Downey Jr. had done his bit, just like with Wolverine, just like with Hugh Jackman, who had completely finished his journey, put it to bed, but then there was an itch. And we just recently learned this in a new magazine, which was covered previously here on the channel, where Wolverine showed up, well, Hugh Jackman, even though they're the same person, Hugh Jackman calls Ryan Reynolds 15 minutes before he's about to have a meeting with Kevin Feige saying that he doesn't have a story, that he wasn't sure how to use Deadpool in the MCU. Hugh Jackman reaches out to Ryan Reynolds and says, I want back in. This is what I want. And now here we are with Deadpool and Wolverine. I feel the same has gone on with Robert Downey Jr., who recently had said he is ready to come back to the MCU. Now, this is all but an expectation, regardless of Robert Downey Jr. publicly saying this, but now we almost basically know Robert Downey Jr. will return in Secret Wars or in Avengers 5 or at some point as Iron Man. How much we're going to see him is really up to Kevin Feige and Robert Downey Jr. himself, and it sounds like they've already been discussing his involvement in Deadpool and Wolverine. Which brings us to that second part of Daniel RPK's report, where he says that he was supposed to show up in the post-credit scene for build-up for Secret Wars and payoff from another scene that is still in the film. So the question is, what is this other scene that an insider who is known for leaking information doesn't even want to reveal? There are a lot of different ways we can go, and it is purely speculative. However, my first thoughts go to Tobey Maguire. Why? Well, one, he is one of the OG nostalgia characters. And yes, we did get him back in Spider-Man No Way Home. And to see him on the big screen as a long-term fan, as somebody who grew up with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, as many of you did, that was incredible. But we know that Hugh Jackman spoke about wanting to return for Secret Wars if he could be on screen with Tobey Maguire and Robert Downey Jr. So there's that full circle moment for us. Perhaps this was discussed. Hugh Jackman calls up Ryan Reynolds right before he has a meeting with Kevin Feige and says, "This is what I want, Ryan Reynolds, my best buddy. I want to show up in Deadpool and Wolverine. I want to bring Logan back to the big screen. And I would like to continue on into Secret Wars, but I want to be on that stage with Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man and with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man." This has been discussed at length, that these were some conditions for Hugh Jackman to return to play Wolverine. Well, we already have seen Tobey return, and we're hearing that Robert Downey Jr. is ready to return, even though we all already knew he was going to return, which makes me think, potentially, there could be a little Tobey Maguire moment. We have spoken at length on this channel and all over the internet about all of the many possibilities of cameos in Deadpool and Wolverine. And no, we don't want another Multiverse of Madness situation where we're expecting something just mind-blowingly massive as far as the multiverse is concerned, and then it ends up being something a little bit more concealed and smaller paced. But there are a lot of options and opportunities for these little cameos, just because this is the movie that is going to tip over the multiverse, and Deadpool really can do whatever he wants. He can bring in characters, he can make references, he can break the fourth wall and talk about Tobey, and then the payoff could eventually be Robert Downey Jr. showing up, and maybe Hugh Jackman, Deadpool, Tobey Maguire, and Robert Downey Jr. all showing up at the TVA, or something going on, and that could be the big payoff and the big build-up for Secret Wars. I think seeing some very key characters like that show up in the final hour of the movie, or even the post-credit scene, and have a very quick, short discussion and a joke would be an amazing build-up for Secret Wars, because that's something we haven't seen just yet. All of these characters are off in their own section of the MCU, street level, cosmic, the mystic side of the MCU, but once we start seeing some of these characters, including characters who have died for us, come back as variants, start interacting together, it's really going to be game over for our excitement levels. It's going to be just next level stuff, and seeing something like that in Deadpool and Wolverine would just be absolutely incredible. With that being said, keep in mind this report did say that these specific details didn't end up working out with Robert Downey Jr., but that does make us beg the question, who is on the docket to return or make an appearance or a cameo or a reference or fourth wall break in Deadpool and Wolverine? This is a movie that I know we are all extremely excited for, and you have every reason to be, as I do believe Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds are going to 100% deliver on this film, not only from an entertainment value, but from an MCU building, multiverse building storyline. We're finally going to get some big connections and big answers that everybody has been waiting for since we rolled into Phase 4. With that being said, let me know what other grand cameos you would like to see in Deadpool and Wolverine. What's your list? Who are you waiting to see show up, or who would you like to see show up to start building that excitement for Secret Wars, or just to give us a good laugh with Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool? Thank you guys so much for watching to the very end of the video. If you did enjoy it, be sure to like it. Don't forget to subscribe to help us get to 1 million subscribers, and I'll catch you guys all in the next video right here on The Cosmic Wonder.